Our first speaker is Maria Mvoma, and she is going to speak to us about the path towards zero waste using intersectionality, racial inclusivity, mutual aid, and harm reduction. She's a mom. Yeah, exactly. Go for it. All of the enthusiasm. That's exactly, yes, because this is a real life world stuff going on here. So Maria is a mom. She's a zero waste advocate and an educator. She's currently living in the Huichin Ohlone land here in Oakland, or there in Oakland. She founded Rotation Community Services in 2022 to offer intersectional, equity-focused, zero-waste guidance, education, and resources in order to help dismantle the systems and traditions that harm individuals, communities, and our planet. Most recently, she completed the Stop Waste Environmental Educator training, and on behalf of the Laurel Community Garden, which she manages in the city of Oakland. When she's not literally talking trash, she enjoys writing, gardening, hula hooping, and making plant potions. This is her second step as she begins to take over the whole world.
Okay. Meow. Hi. My name is Maria with Rotation Community Services. A lot of folks ask me, how did I get into all of this? And this is kind of the process of what's behind our work and why we do what we do. Just a reminder in the space, keep an open heart. We're talking about some things that might make folks uncomfortable, and they might have preconceived notions. Just tell your mind to never mind. Let's question ourselves to deepen knowledge and not really question me and my experiences. Overview, so yeah, I'm gonna introduce some concepts that might be unfamiliar. They're gonna be highlighted in blue. Believe that to truly reach zero waste goals, we must practice harm reduction, mutual aid, and radical inclusion. Yeah. This requires implementing intersectional beliefs and structures that have always existed, especially among marginalized groups, especially those whose lifestyles and practices have been criminalized. So that first blue word, intersectionality. What it is, thank you, Kimberly Crenshaw, for bringing this into our consciousness. It's that things intersect, all those isms, especially capitalism, when we're talking about zero waste, have effects, especially on marginalized communities. So what we're policy making and producing feeds into that and should be thought of in that process. Criminalized lifestyles and practices. People don't realize a lot of the laws and policies that are created to protect actually harm a lot of folks, especially those in those marginalized communities, our elders, our low to no income, LGBTQI plus folk, female presenting, non-English speakers, immigrant, BIPOC, you name it. There are laws on the books right now, policies on the books right now that make their lifestyles and their healing practices or finding relief illegal. So what it could look like, what it looked like then. These are pictures from 2012, going way back. Occupy SF and Occupy the Farm. Occupy SF that I supported, took that picture. We had people in Occupy, people believe that we're most affected by capitalism and we can find systems to bring ourselves out. So food redistribution was a part of that for Occupy SF through Food Not Bombs SF. We also had Occupy the Farm, which was happening in Albany, getting land for access to community agricultural services. And this is what it looks like now. Food Not Bombs San Francisco still is not a recognized food redistribution organization. That might be because they still engage in criminalized behavior by supporting occupation of abandoned buildings. And we have Giltrap Community Farm which is now a great community partner. They are a compost hub with stop waste. They provide produce to local organizations. It's a beautiful space for teaching and learning and healing. And that was through an agreement reached with the UC Regents. Same could not be said for People's Park. Harm reduction. What it is. We have licit and illicit drugs, and they're being used under capitalism, under consumerism, all these isms. But we can't just ignore them, and we also can't punish. That is what harm reduction is. And guess what? We already have harm reduction and very successful harm reduction spaces, safe consumption spaces. They're called bars. This is where we have alcohol being regulated, people making sure people are safely consuming. We also have great environmental regulations. We have reuse. Reuse is coming to events. It's already at a lot of big venues in San Francisco. So harm reduction, safe consumption does work. Because this is what it looks like when we don't have these spaces. This is all from parks and beaches that I visit. This is what you have going on, this illicit and licit drug use and behaviors. And really, it's a missed opportunity. Here's some examples of missed opportunities of intersectional thought in zero waste. This is from 2022. Newsom vetoed a safe consumption bill that was overwhelmingly supported by Mayor San Francisco and San Diego, LA. And also there was a bill to have safe consumption sites, cannabis consumption sites, which would allow for cooking to be on site. Right now, cannabis lounges can only use single-use packaged food at their sites. So, the thing with both of these bills, there was no environmental groups that signed on to it. So, missed opportunity. Mutual aid. I like to think of mutual aid as, my dad's from Nigeria, and when you're offering something to someone, you said you're welcome, and then they say thank you. And I kind of like to think of that when we're thinking of mutual aid versus charitable giving. So here's some mutual aid activities that we tried to engage in during the pandemic. One was Love Your Neighborhood, which came out of conversations with folks from encampments around my neighborhood at the time, around Ocean Beach. It was a part beach cleanup, part waste characterization, and a collection of used goods for those unhoused neighbors. Suds and Solidarity came about because through this waste characterization, we saw that a lot of the waste that we were collecting off of the beach were textiles. And talking to unhoused residents, they didn't have access to washers and dryers, so clothes were getting ditched. So being able to access these, working with housed and unhoused neighbors together with Richmond District Rising, my work with Race to Zero Waste was able to do these. Both these projects went on to be picked up by the city of San Francisco in different aspects, and also had to be changed a lot because of the criminalized behavior. You cannot give tents and tarps, which were being requested by our unhoused residents, because that's illegal. So know where your money comes from. You can't always take it. And Bottle Bank and Rotation Community Services, we do try to donate back CRV, and that was another reason why we did Love Your Neighborhood. The Safeway by Ocean Beach used to have a CRV redemption center, so just increasing that access, putting money in people's hands in easier ways. Radical inclusivity. And really, it's challenging ourselves to be together, not just kind of whitewashing everything, beiging everything, but accepting our differences and appreciate them, and doing the work to recognize how we are taught to others. So right now, what we really see being presented in the Bay Area especially is radical exclusion. You have headlines that talk about the unhoused in ways of fear, You have groups who are working with encampments, because again, it's illegal to work with encampments, who are following behind, handing out polystyrene, because they're just focused on helping people, that charity model under capitalism. We also have the cleanup groups, and great job if you're doing the cleanup groups. However, you must recognize that a lot of the tools that are at your disposal are not at the disposal of unhoused communities, and it would help in their in the litter that we sometimes see around encampments. And if you ever go around and check social media of these cleanup groups, you're bound to hear or bound to see some really negative stuff around unhoused populations. So this is what radical inclusion could look like. We have Glitter Through Ground Score. Oh, I'm gonna run out of time. And the Homefulness Project through Poor Magazine. Both of these include recycling and reuse projects, and include housing folks, include treating folks, because no matter what people say, the answer to homelessness is not just affordable housing, it is more than that. So in my last 4 seconds, instead of this, we can have this. We can have like the Homefulness in Huchen, in Deep East Oakland. We can have what they have in Portland, Glitter, where instead of cleanup groups cleaning up, we have them helping, peer-to-peer helping. And donate to Poor Magazine. And read bell hooks. And there's me. Yeah.
All right, questions. Where have we got questions coming out? Oh no, come on, folks, don't be shy.
I told you not to question me, and now no one's questioning.
Well, I think I have a question.
Okay.
Oh, here's a question.
You said read what? You said read. I thought there was a specific book.
Was there a book you wanted to
At the end.
recommend folks to read?
All of them. But this comes from the
Oh, bell hooks, thank you.
Teaching Community of Pedagogy and Hope. So this particular quote, really around releasing fear and releasing dominator culture, releasing that radical exclusion from the ways that we do and from our culture. So, yeah.
Oh, great. Doug.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Excellent presentation. When you touched on those 2 bills where you didn't get any support from the environmental community, just this is kind of advice for any of the other nonprofit groups out here as well. When we in the environmental community are looking at somewhere around 4,000, 4,500, 4,800 bills in a 2-year session, keywords are very important. So if you would have tagged like zero waste or recycling or any of those, because when we do these searches, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for those bills that target that, even if it's just for, it gets it on our radar.
They're just looking. Control F.
Thank you. I will. Noted. Thank you. Uh-huh.
Question about your experience, whether the bottle bank system presents a barrier or an enhancement for folks who are collecting beverage containers,
Good question. I would really love to see bottle bank expanded to model more of what it looks like in Oregon. I do understand the limitations because it's kind of pilot, it's not fully that system, recognizing nonprofits, but I'd also love to see expanded. It is, and in Oregon, it's easy, something I didn't mention in these slides. I lost my housing because I stuck up for my neighbors. I was evicted, owner move-in evicted. And so ended up in Oregon and got to use their program, and it was so great. You just go to grocery outlet. My son would like collect all the bags, and we just go to grocery outlet and get groceries, and it was great. So yeah, I think that it can be far more inclusive. As it is now, it's difficult. Even with, my able-bodied, educated friend folk, it's hard for them to navigate. You have to have a phone. So yes, it's great, but it can be a lot better if we really had the backing, the right backing.
If I could follow up, can you pinpoint the differences in Oregon and California? The most important differences.
Repeat the question, whether like big differences that make it a little less inclusive. In Oregon, the grocery stores are mandatory online. They have kiosks there. So when you bring the bag to the grocery stores, you scan your card, you get a receipt, you get your money, bam, right there. With Bottle Bank, it's the grocery stores we're not fully behind it. They don't have these kiosks. I think a lot of y'all know the history of the grocery stores and CRV. So, yeah.
Any other questions? One more. Okay, Julia's got one.
Hello, Maria.
Hey, Roy. Roy works with us.
Go rotation services. Let's see. Shafia wanted to know what tools would be helpful to in-house populations to have. What tools are helpful for the
So bags, that was something that we found out that folks were requesting were bags, just having bags. The bags that cleanup groups get, they're actually not allowed to use them for encampments because that would be considered personal use. So what we were doing with Love Your Neighborhood, I was bringing my garbage and my compost and recycling cans down to the beach, and I was hauling that back, which is also illegal if you take money from a city, in the city of San Francisco. You can't do that. We found out. So, that's low. What would be great is garbage service, but you need an address. So there's the rub.
Wow.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing this with us. This is super helpful. Thank you.